Hello my friends, my name is Lindsay and I run the blog Books for Christian Girls, and welcome back to the little corner of the internet where I talk mainly about Christian fiction. Today is a recent reads. I've got 16 books to talk about. Well, I'd like to do 8 to 12, but that rarely ever happens. I'm going to try to make this video not too long, but I do have a lot of thoughts and a lot of books to talk about, so we'll see. As always, I will have full content reviews linked down below. I organize these books into genre and not when I read them. I'll have timestamps down below for every book, every genre. If you'd like to skip around, you are more than welcome to. And I think that's all my disclaimers. I rank them from lowest to highest in the genre, so let's get started. So starting off with middle grade, the first book I have is Beneath the Swirling Sky by Carolyn. And I'm not sure how to pronounce the author's last name. The cover's really cute though. I gave this a personal rating of 3 stars. It's a book, and I think the whole series will be. I can see why some may really like it, but I could also see why some families may avoid it. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I have all my full content reviews down below. And when it's a middle grade book, I am very thorough in sharing anything a family could maybe not want their kiddo to read. But with this book, it was interesting because if you're familiar with the Pages & Co. series, and I liked that series before certain content was added that goes against my Christian beliefs, it has a very similar vibe in the sense of going into another world. And in that series, it's books. In this series, though, it's paintings. And our main boy is Vincent, and I believe he's 12, if I remember right. And he finds out that his family comes from a long line of restorationists. Did I say that right? That is such a tongue twister to say. And he has to go rescue his little sister when she randomly stumbles into a painting. So the concept was really fun, really different, really unique. I do have some notes in my full content review that some parents might want to check out and see if it would be a good fit for their kiddo, because I can see why some would really like it, but I can also see why some families may avoid it. Personally, I gave it 3. I would probably continue on with the rest of the series just to review them. It was a fun series. There's not much faith content, but it was just, you know, I keep saying it's a fun series. It was a fun book. I haven't read the rest of the series. They haven't released yet. But this book, it was a very fun concept. There's little things that I'm curious how it will continue on into the rest of the series. But yeah, you know, it's just a fun middle grade one. I didn't love it, but I didn't dislike it. My second book for the middle grade category is The Inkwell Chronicles Book 2, Race to Krakatoa. Krakatoa? Did I say that right? I'm going to be really impressed if I said that right. I don't know if I did. By J.D. Peabody. This is a middle grade series that has been really entertaining. The first book was The Ink of... Oh, I own it. Elspeth? I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. We're continuing on with the theme. The next book I should be able to fully pronounce. But this one is the second book, and I almost would say that if you are a fan of the first book or the series interests you, because it's all about Everett, who is 11, and then his younger sister B, and there is this magical ink that is what causes all creativity, whether it be from music, poems, books, all paintings, all of it comes from this ink. And it's been a very interesting series thus far, and I have all the magic info noted in my review. But this one, if you were a fan of the first book or you're interested in the series, I almost would suggest to wait for the third book, because this cliffhanger was so mean, y'all. It was so mean. It was almost like it was taken out like the Keeper of the Lost Cities series or something like that. Like, it was a page out of a Shannon Messenger book with that ending. I was very upset when I was reading this book. I was like, what? Where's the rest of it? Because that can't be how it just ended. But it did end that way. It did. I want to talk about it, but it would be a spoiler, obviously, if I talked about how the book ended. But I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it was overall fun. I think if your family is okay with magic or fantasy elements like that, I think this would be fine. But if that's something that y'all try to limit or avoid entirely, probably not a good series for readers like that. But if, let's say, middle grade readers that were okay to read the Keeper of the Lost City series or Harry Potter, I definitely think this would be fine. I haven't read Harry Potter, but based on what I know, comparable wise, I feel like this would be even lighter in both of those books in the sense of the magic and fantasy. But it's a very interesting series. I'm looking forward to how it continues. I need a release date for book 3 now, please, because that was a really mean ending. My last book for the middle grade category, can I just say how excited I am that I had 3 middle grade books to talk about and that they're all in series? Because that makes me so happy to see Christian middle grade books being published. Now, you could argue Beneath the Swirling Sky was very light, and then the Inkwell Chronicles is on the lighter side. I think that one would really stand out in the secular market. But still, there's a little bit of faith content, and they are being dubbed as Christian middle grade books. So I'm very excited to see more Christian middle grade be published. Now I just need more Christian YA to be published and I'll be an absolute happy camper. But my third book for this genre and the last book would be Undercover Princess by Olivia. Oh, I meant to message the author to ask how to pronounce her last name. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to attempt. But very good book. I personally gave this one 4 stars, but I think if you're a middle grade reader, 5 stars, especially for middle grade aged girlies. I think y'all would really enjoy it. This is all about Millie, who has been mentioned in one of the author's other series that I haven't finished, but it gave no spoilers for that other series, so I'm really grateful for that. And she is a princess, and she gets to go to a boarding school in Kentucky. That's a horse-themed boarding school. There's horses, they ride horses, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm losing my words. But all that kind of stuff. And this was a really sweet book. Again, very light faith content, but there's good lessons, and there are snobby mean girls, but it's handled pretty well, and I know we're going to continue to see that throughout the series and lessons, so I'm okay with that personally. I definitely am looking forward to reading book 2 and 3, which as of filming this have already been released. I just haven't read them yet, but I definitely plan to get to them soon. For a young adult, this one technically it would be considered Catholic fiction, but I'm just going to put it here as young adult, and that is Charting the Course by Leslea Wahl. I think that's how you pronounce the author's name. Again, I don't do well with names. I'm so sorry. I could hear a name 50,000 times and I could potentially still pronounce it wrong. I will spell it right, but I will pronounce it wrong. I'm so sorry. But this is, I've enjoyed all the other books I've read by this author, and this was a very, I'm always, again, always excited to see Christian YA. This is technically Catholic YA, but it was still very good. And I thought it was very fun though, because our main girl, her name just escaped me, Liz. Liz goes on a cruise ship for 10 days with her father that she has not the best relationship with. Her parents divorced when she was young. And there's a mystery on board, there's a cute boy on board, and it was just, again, it's one of those books that when it ends, I kind of would like a spin-off, please, because there's still potential cuteness to happen in that sweet romance. And one thing I just have to note about this author is the flirting in her books are so cute, and it's safe for YA. It's not got into windows or, you know, just sexual suggestions. It's just cute and flirty, which I just love. I personally really like riddles and treasure hunts in books, so when this book having that aspect, I really liked it. Did I say I gave this book 4 stars? I don't know if I said that, but I gave this book 4 stars, and it was just lots of fun. There was even a twist I wasn't expecting, which I always predict the twists that are coming, so I was a little shocked that I didn't see that coming. But anyway, it was overall really good. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I think if you like contemporary YA, you probably would enjoy this book. It's just fun. Again, it is Catholic fiction, so there's a lot of mentions of rosaries and saints and praying to the saints. So take of that how you will, but it was an enjoyable read. For the next genre being mystery and suspense, I have one of each, but for the first book, I knocked it off my book outlet haul that I did a while back. I am slowly, and I mean very slowly, working towards all those books on my book outlet haul to figure out, did I like them all? Will I keep them all? Because y'all were placing your guesses, and I'm very curious to see how many I'll end up keeping. This one I'm on the fence about. I gave this one 3 stars. This is Deadly Proof by Rachel Dillon. I have never, I feel like, had a book where I was reading because of the plot and not the characters. And that feels really oddly specific to me, because this book, the main girl is a lawyer, and she's going up against a pharmaceutical company that has a lot of very suspicious dealings around it, and one of their products is causing a lot of trouble. And personally, I found that plotline so incredibly fascinating. That completely sucked me into the story. I don't know why I find that stuff enjoyable, but I do. I like the law. Suspense. What is this? Law suspense? What is this called? No. Legal suspense. That's the word I'm looking for. I like that kind of thing typically, and this had a case that I was very much invested in. So the main girl in this one though is Kate, and she is a lawyer, like I said. And the one thing though is she really didn't have much of, I felt, a personality outside of her career. I don't know. I'm used to my suspense female leads being like, you know, I don't want to say jaded, but like they're used to all the suspense elements, like getting chased and being attacked. You know, they're unfortunately used to that because it comes with typically their career. Daisy says hello. So they're used to that though. And she was not, so she felt very weak, which, I mean, to be fair, that's probably how I would be if I was in the same situation. So pot meet kettle here, but it wasn't as enjoyable for me because of the characters. And we also have the main guy who, he was fine, but I honestly think I would have preferred this book with no romance. That's saying something. Questionable on the characters. We also though see the point of view of her friend, who is the lead lawyer on the case for the pharmaceutical company. So it was really interesting to see the back and forth of they're innocent. No, they're not. Are they really kind of thing? It was very interesting to go back and forth with that. And again, the law and lawyer stuff, that's what really kept my interest in this book. The characters, not so much. So I honestly, though, don't know if I'll be keeping this book. I'm really tight on space right now on my bookshelf, as you can tell. And so I'm kind of debating, do I keep it or do I just unhaul it? Do I put it to the side? I don't know yet. And I felt this way about the other book I read by this author. Like, it's currently on the shelf, but it's one of the ones that if push comes to shove and I'm completely out of room, which I basically am out of room on my red shelf where it would go, where that one is actually. This one would go on the oranges probably. But would I keep it? I don't know. I'm very unsure on if I'll keep it. The rest of the series honestly doesn't sound as interesting to me, but I'll probably give them a try. One thing I did appreciate this is it's overall pretty clean, especially for a suspense category or a suspense genre book. It was pretty clean. There wasn't too much for me to note. It was a very, I don't want to say mindless read, but kind of in that regard. It wasn't like a Lynette Easton where there's like a tons of things happening, you know? So, I don't know. I liked the plot a lot, and that's what makes me want to keep it. But I didn't really like the characters or the romance, so jury's out. For mystery, I'm so sad. But New Leash on Life, I'm not sad. I liked it. Back up. I liked it. I'm sad because this is the last book in the series that I have absolutely adored. It's by Kathleen Yarbarbo. The series went back and forth with Janice Thompson, one of my all-time favorite authors, as many of y'all know, and Kathleen Yarbarbo, and this was the last book. And I'm so sad it's the last book. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. I was really confused going into this book because I was like, I don't know Lane or Nora. Like, have we seen them mentioned? Because the rest of this series is following a vet clinic, and I've been talking about this series since it released. I probably still will not stop talking about it. I'm not going to hush up. I'm so sorry, because I adore this series so much. But I was very confused because the other 5 books are all featuring those at the vet clinic. And I was like, I don't know these people. Who are these people? But as I started reading, I realized, oh, she is Casey's, one of her really good friends who we saw in Casey's book. And I was like, oh, okay, so we're all still connected. I still get to see the characters from the prior books, which I was so relieved because I really like all those characters. This is such an amazing friend group. It's so much fun. What was different, though, about this book was that we actually see the main guy's point of view. And for the rest of the series, if I remember right, we never saw his point of view. We only just saw her point of view. And this one, I'm glad we had his point of view because I was a little like, what's going on with him? What's happening here? Because they've been dating for a while and she's expecting him to pop the question and he never has. And he does not feel like he can propose to her until he gets his PTSD under control from serving overseas in the military. And then they find this military working dog running around Brenham, Texas, and trying to figure out where does this dog go, what's happening, and all that kind of things. You know, it's a cozy mystery. It was really good. I enjoy it. I'm so sad the series is over. I'm so sad. I don't want it to end. I really don't. This is one of those series where I'm just like, please, just keep writing. Keep writing them. I love them. It's been such a good series. So a big thank you to the publisher and to the authors for these awesome books. I have been eagerly pre-ordering each and every single one of them. So, boo, I'm so sad it's over. Okay, so I have one little Christmas book, and that is My True Love Gave to Me by Carolyn Witemeyer. I gave this book 4 stars. I didn't realize how short this book was going to be. Like, I knew it was a novella, but I didn't know it was 43 pages. 43 pages. It was really, really cute though, but like I finished it in like 18 minutes. It was so little. I would have loved to see this as like a full length or just like at least 100 more pages, but I did give it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It felt kind of weird adding a book that short to my Goodreads challenge because I don't typically do that, but I didn't realize it was that short. So oops, but it was really good. It is all about, oh, how can I say this book without giving too much information? Because it's really tiny and I don't want to give too much information. So we follow this couple, Simon and Anna, and they love each other. They were adorable. Can I just say, oh my goodness, they were adorable. And all of a sudden, her father is like, no, I want you to marry this other guy. And of course, they're both distraught because they love each other. And so main guy Simon tries to do a gift for representing the 12 days of Christmas because it is 12 days before Christmas and it works out perfectly. It was so clever and cute and creative. I giggled, I laughed. It was adorable. So 4 stars, little Christmas novella for you. So that was a Christmas historical book, but continuing on with other historical books, I read Garden of the Midnights by Hannah Linder. First, let's appreciate this cover. The author actually did her own cover, and I think that's really impressive. I love the cover. I thought this was a really interesting book, though, because for the first good amount, the main couple think they're half-siblings. And I was just here for all that cute sibling content. That was so cute. It was so cute. And then things are revealed, and obviously they're not siblings because look how close they're standing on the cover. That's not no sibling stance. So it turns into a romance relationship, which was sweet. But the thing is, it was that forbidden love trope, and I'm realizing why I don't like the forbidden love trope. The angst nearly does me in, y'all. I was so stressed. And like the prior book I had read by this author, Beneath His Silence, that book felt very melodramatic to me, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping. This one, I enjoyed it more. I gave it 3 stars. But it's still, the ending felt a little over-the-top dramatic at times. Because I wasn't thrilled with the ending, but the epilogue was good. And it was a nice calm after the storm that these characters had been through. So, you know, it was overall not bad. Not my favorite. I really like the sibling content though. Like, had the sibling content just like stayed sibling content, I think I would have given it a 4 because it was so cute. And I need more sibling content books, especially ones that don't have romance at all in them. I really liked that. It was so cute and I was just loving that. But I knew it was going to be a romance book, so I was like, oh, something's changing here, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a romance book. I remembered in the middle of reading it, so there's that. And I thought it was interesting. Some parts I liked, some parts I didn't like. The villain was a villain, and I hated him, honestly, because, you know, he's the villain. That's what he's there for, to hate. And because of his parts, though, I dropped my personal rating and the ratings for BFCG because he added in a little bit more sexual content than I preferred, and again, it had a little bit of that melodramatic, like this is a little much, kind of insane, a little bit, but overall not bad. Overall not bad. I liked the first half way more than the second half, though. Continuing on with the historical genre, I read Against the Wind by Amanda Cabot. Not sure how to do it. The first book was After the Shadows, which I just have to note, I love that these are both set in the Texas springtime hill country area because we have bluebonnets on the cover, and this book actually had some really good scenes about bluebonnets. As I was reading this book, though, I actually shared quotes about their bluebonnets they were seeing with pictures I had taken the prior spring, this past spring, of bluebonnets, and I love bluebonnets. I am a Texas girl. I love my bluebonnets so much. So whenever books mention bluebonnets, I'm just like, ah! Like, Does anyone feel that way for their state flower? I feel like we have such a pride in Texas, in our state. So, and it's definitely been ingrained in me and I love it so much. But I love bluebonnets. I love the smell. The smell of bluebonnets in the spring. I would wear it as a perfume. Some people say it stinks. Okay, whatever. But I love it. It smells like Texas to me. So anyway, I digress. I love that it was set in Texas. This book though, so the first book was kind of heavy in the sense of all the different things going on. And this series is following sisters. It's going to be a trilogy, it sounds like, because there's 3 sisters. So the first sister was the first book. This is the youngest sister. And they had words, pretty harsh words, after their parents had passed away. One suddenly, one very suddenly. And the main girl in this is Louisa, I think is how you pronounce her name. Again, with the, I don't know how to pronounce these people's names. So sorry, people. I'm so sorry. But she has come back, and I was so glad we quickly had forgiveness between the two for those harsh words, because I was concerned going into this one. I'm like, please don't let her be a brat. Please don't let her be snooty. Like, I was very concerned she was going to be very harsh and bitter. But that quickly changed, like, forgiveness happens and discussions happen, and I really liked seeing that sister bond reconnection, if you will, happen. It was really good to see. So Louisa though has come back to Sweetwater, because this is The Secrets of Sweetwater Crossing, that's the trilogy name, and she's come back to Sweetwater after studying to be a midwife and hopefully to be a doctor. And of course being set in, what time period was this set in? 1883. Women doctors are frowned upon, and being in a small town, they're definitely frowned upon, so she's trying to prove herself, and that a really good opportunity to prove herself happens when the main guy, Josh, she stumbles upon him after he's been bucked off his horse and he has a broken leg. Yikes. So she gets to help him. I really liked him because he's from the big city and he is kind of like a potential heir to his family's company, which is like a store, like, you know, a business. And I loved seeing the marketing aspects of that. I'm a nerd, I know. My degree was in digital marketing and I work in the marketing field. So I found that all fascinating to see like little bits of the historical elements of the business owning and the marketing thing. I know, I'm a nerd. But it was really fun in that regard. So I really liked his parts because of that. Louisa, being a doctor, there is doctory stuff. And I think it's really important to know as a trigger for this book that there are side characters that go through major grief and the deaths of children, and we see that on page, and we see those deaths on page, so that definitely is going to be a harder read for some. I feel like this book was lighter than the first book in the series, because the first book felt really heavy to me, but there was good faith content that helped balance it out, and that was the same with this one, is there was good faith content, which helps balance it out. And in my opinion, if there's going to be a Christian fiction book that's going to deal with heavy or tough topics, as long as the faith content matches it and goes to par with it, I'm typically okay with it. I will note that the ending of this book was so much a very typical Christian fiction historical ending, and if you've read this book, you probably know exactly what I mean. We've seen it in multiple other books. I can think of probably 6 off the top of my head that end in a very similar fashion. That doesn't mean it's bad, it's just I've seen it a lot, you know? So overall, not bad. I gave it 3.5 stars. I would say I like this one a little bit more than the first book. I look forward to the third book, which will be about their middle sister. And it sounds interesting. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. She's been abroad in Europe becoming an opera singer or just a singer or something with music. And now she's back because something happened where she can no longer do that. So looking forward to reading that one. I believe it's coming out next year, mid-year. So looking forward to that. Okay, this was one of my most anticipated books for this year, and that was Children of the Shadows by Erica Finch? She said it rhymes with wrench, like saved a Amazing Grace saved a wrench, like me, wrench, Vinch? Erica Finch? Is that prop? I don't know. I'm so sorry. This is the final book. Again, with these final books that make me want to just cry because I don't want the series to be over. I don't want it to be over. And that's definitely a series because, okay, book 1 was The Debutante's Code. I gave that one 4.5 stars. Absolutely adored it both times I read it. Book 2, I mean, was Millstone of Doubt, and I think I gave that a 3 or a 3.5. I enjoyed it, just the first book was so good. Children of the Shadows, just released here recently as of filming this, and I read it. I don't have my physical copy yet. I haven't ordered it yet. I'm terrible. I need to order it. But I gave this one 4 stars. A very satisfying conclusion to the series. I will say I was incredibly stressed for like the last 15% or so. I was like, okay. I had in my mind that this series was going to end in one way. And I'm trying to be vague because if you haven't read the rest of the series, it follows the same characters. It follows Juliet, who is a debutante, and then you have Daniel, who is a Bow Street runner. And these are Regency mysteries. I love a good Regency mystery. I love a good Regency. I love a good mystery. Put them together, I'm sold. I'm here for it. And this series has been so good. I've been so happy about that. But Daniel has a lot of secrets surrounding his birth, and we don't get told much of it until the end of book 2. So I want to be vague because of spoilers. But now that all of those birth secrets have come to play, in book 3, we're seeing like the true, like, okay, what does this mean for our couple? And this is also a series I'd recommend completely reading in order. Sincerely, read them in order. I don't think you'll appreciate it as much if you read them out of order. So I definitely suggest reading them in order. But this book, I liked it. But again, with how things were going to be revealed with his birth secrets, I was like, there is only one way this is going to go in my mind. And again, I have to be vague. But I was a little stressed when I was like, where is this going? This is not going in the way I wanted. But thankfully, it ended pretty satisfactory. My one, I guess you could say, I don't want to say complaint. It's not really a caveat. One thing I guess I didn't really like, though, I hate to say it that way because I did enjoy the book. My one thing though is Juliet, the main girl, kind of felt like a side character in this book compared to the other two, because like she was helping with the murders or the mysteries in the first 2 books, and in this one we never really saw her get involved until like 75% in. And I was a little bummed about that because they were very equal partners of these mysteries and solving these murder cases in the prior books, and I really liked that. But this book kind of felt more like Daniel was the main character and then there's Juliet. I don't know, maybe if you've read the series you know what I've talked about. I'd be curious if anyone else felt this way. When I was looking through reviews when I posted my review, I didn't see anybody mention that. But personally to me, I was a little disappointed that we didn't see more of Juliet helping in this case, because we have we have 2 murders that happen in this book, and then a bunch of street children are disappearing, and they're trying to figure out why. And the back cover just made it sound like Juliet was very involved, and she didn't get involved till 75% in. So I was a little bummed on that. Overall, though, still a really good book, good ending to the series. I am disappointed it's the end of the series. I would love to see these characters again. Also, a side note on this series is this 3rd book, more so than the other ones, mentioned characters by this author's other series. And so I felt a little left out. I felt a little left out because I haven't read those. I mean, fully my fault. And I know those who have probably read those books by this author as well, was probably really excited to see those characters again. So I felt like I was missing out. So I do need to eventually read that other, I think it's the Sensibilities and Secrets. I think that's the name of the trilogy that has all these other characters. So eventually I will read those. I'm hoping to knock that out next year because those sound like they're Regency mysteries as well, and I like a good Regency, I like a good mystery. And then maybe I'll reread this whole trilogy again. Or at least this 3rd book, so I can be like, oh yeah, I know those people now, because when you read a book and it mentions characters from other books, it's kind of like I can tell how you're explaining this person's story. I can tell they had their own book, but I have no connection. You know, have you had that happen? I've had that happen more than I care to admit, and it was very apparent in the 3rd book. So like little disappointment thing there, but that's on me that I didn't read the other series. But I plan to. So overall though, the Thorndike and Swan mystery series was really good. Really enjoyed it. I'm sad it's over. Oh, I wanted to note though, I've been asked on this before, and I have my full content reviews for all 3 books now posted, but I do want to note that there's a lot of mentions of illegitimate children and just different comments on that kind of thing and how that happens and, you know, that kind of thing. Particularly in this third book, I feel like it should be for older high school girls, personally. But again, I'll link my review down below for you to check, but I just want to give that little disclaimer that it's, I would say, older high school girls, personally, because of certain comments, particularly in this book, particularly in this third book. So, okay. Now moving on. So my last book for historical was a grand slam, if you want, and that is The Cryptographer's Dilemma by Johnnie Alexander. This was a random book I picked up online for a few dollars. I was like, you know, I'm just going to get it. I haven't read any books of this series. It's published by Baehr. It's the Heroines of World War II series. I think this was book 1, maybe. They're not connecting from my understanding, but they're all set around World War II. Did I say 2? I don't know if I said Heroines of World War II. I feel like I said 1. I don't know. Anyway, they're all set around World War II, and I just randomly picked up this book, and mainly because it had to do with cryptography, is that how you say it? And I like puzzles, I like riddles, I like all the secret codes, you know, that's definitely a buzzword for me. I love it when a book has that. And so I randomly picked up this book one day, and I enjoyed it so much. I gave it 4.5 stars. I actually rounded it up to 5 on Goodreads, which I rarely do. Very rarely do. I think we have more blue moons than I round up to 5 stars, but I digress. But our main couple is Eloise and Philip, and they were adorable. He fell hard and he fell fast, and it was just, I love that trope so much, my dear friends. But this also had to do with the FBI, which I like. So our main guy, Philip, again, set during the beginnings of World War II. Philip is an FBI agent, and he really wishes he was able to serve in the military for World War II. Like everyone else around, all the other guys he knows, all his cousins, everybody is signing up, but he has been disqualified because he's colorblind. So he is still working for the FBI, and he's not overly happy about that because, you know, during that time period, if they saw someone that looked like an able-bodied man, why weren't you enlisting? So, you know, that kind of, I don't want to say prejudice, but like there's more going on behind the scenes, and we shouldn't assume things like that, but I digress. So he's working for the FBI, and our main girl, Eloise, gets pulled in to help with him on this case. And this was actually a real case. The author kind of condensed it, though, in the sense of the timeline. It took more years. So after I got done with this book, I had to do a whole bunny trail of research on, what was it? What was the name? I want to make sure I say the case right. The Doll Woman. If you know World War II history, do you know about the Doll Woman? That was fascinating, I have to say. So Eloise is a cryptographer, I believe, for the Navy or something, and she gets called in to help the FBI on this case. And so these two have to go off and go all around the country and try to figure out who is the doll woman and who is sending secret coded messages about dolls that's really about military ships and giving information to the enemies of that time. So I thought it was thoroughly entertaining. There are so many parts, like I loan out all my historical books to a sweet friend at my church, so I haven't tabbed it up yet, but I made notes on where I want to tab because it was so cute. It was just so much fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I feel like I'm doing a decent job explaining it. It was really cute, though. It was so cute. Like, their romance was adorable. The historical content was really interesting. The faith content was good. I would read a whole series about Philip and Eloise, like their adventures and, you know, solving puzzles and crime during this time period. I would read a whole series on them. I almost wish it was in the same concept of like the Thorndike and Swan mystery series that I was just talking about, the Debutante's Code, Millstone of Doubt, Children of the Shadows. I wish this was like that, where it would be continuing on just about them. Because there are other books, like there's a few that sound interesting, but this was just like, wow. I expected nothing from this book, and I enjoyed it so much. So much. I wish there was more just about them, because it was really good. I do have to say this cover is not my favorite, but that's fine. What's inside is more important. It was really good. Okay, my friends, we are getting there. We just have 5 more books. 5 more books, that's it. But these are all secular books, so like middle grade, young adult, Kindle Unlimited books, fantasy books. That's kind of this little excess genre. I like to have my Christian fiction books typically first, and even though I've changed it in my last few recent reads, I'm keeping you on your toes, it's fine. So I typically put all the Christian fiction in their own separate genres, and then here at the end I talk about kind of my overflow of other books, because I am trying to make use of my Kindle Unlimited subscription, because I pay for that monthly, I should be using it, so I find different books on there and I talk about them. But first I'd like to talk about The Vanderbeekers Ever After by Karina and Glaser. This book is the last book in the Vanderbeekers series, which is a middle grade series that has been overall pretty good and really fun. I love just seeing a very wholesome family. It's very day-to-day, not mundaneness, because they've got 2, 4, 5 kids. So it's not really mundane when you have that many kiddos. And I love seeing that big family, and I love seeing a healthy family where the parents are involved and the siblings take care of each other. I love seeing that. And so that's been it's been a gem in my opinion for the secular middle grade market. This is the last book though, book 7, and it's recently released, and I had high hopes for it. Do you know where I'm going with this? Unfortunately, I ended up giving it about 2.5 or 3, and there's a lot of different reasons, and I have a review on Goodreads where I talk about some of the content and more of my thoughts, so I just kind of want to give a little summary in these videos, and because I talk about so many books in my recent reads, so if you'd like to check out these books more, I'll have them linked down below to my reviews and whatnot. But this book, okay, I want to be vague because it doesn't say which sibling is ill, but I do want to give the disclaimer that one of the Vanderbeeker kids does get diagnosed with a type of cancer. And that was just really, really hard to read about. I have very strong opinions on the American cancer treatment, very strong opinions, and so it was really heartbreaking to see this sweet family go through this. And while yes, it's a reality for some, I think it also may hit too close to home for some. And unfortunately, I felt like this book really was missing its charm that the rest of the series had. The rest of the series, like I said, it's a big family. There's always activities and just fun, entertaining things happening, but this book was so much set at the hospital, and I admit I bawled a couple times because of a side character, and it was just sad. It was sad. And again, it's a reality for some, but for those who are very sensitive, especially if like you're a middle grade reader or you have a middle grade reader, this might be too much if they're a sensitive one. So just a heads up for that. Personally, the ending it wasn't good enough for my taste. So this is really disappointing. I had pre-ordered this book, but I honestly might just try to forget the fact that it even exists. I might just try to do that, because this book did not end how I wanted it to, and it did not end in a incredibly hopeful, everything's gonna be fine. Like, I don't care if that's not realistic. I read fiction. If I want realistic, I'll go read nonfiction or fall asleep. So I want happiness in my fiction books, and yeah, this book just did not end how I really wanted it to end, in a very happy, we're all fine, we're all healthy, everything's going to be great for the rest of our lives kind of thing. It didn't. It left it kind of very open in the sense of, we're okay for now. I was just like, what? If this is the last book in the series, I need full, like, not conclosure. I'm saying that wrong. I need, like, I need the ending to be perfect. You know? 7 books. I've read the series for quite a few years now. I want it to be great. I want that ending to be perfect. And it didn't quite meet that for me. So 2.5, 3 stars personally. And so this next book is, I mean, you could consider it Christian fiction, but I'm not personally. But that's Mr. Bad Influence by Trisha Grace. This was a random little Kindle freebie I had picked up, and I gave it about 3 stars. It was a quick, fun read. I wasn't expecting faith content, but there was faith content, so I'm just putting it down as a clean book. So the main couple is Carrie and Nick, and they were together before the book started, like years prior, but then because Nick was getting involved in party scene, they're both celebrities, by the way, which was really neat to see them both be celebrities, because they understood the demands of that celebrity life. It wasn't like one was like a, you know, a normal civilian, one was a celebrity. It wasn't that. So I really liked that they were both celebrities. But he had started getting into the party scene and drugs and alcohol, and they were in a very bad car accident, and then contact was kind of just completely shut off between the two of them. And now the book starts about 3 years later, and they're both, her faith has gotten stronger. He's starting having a faith, and it was interesting. There was things I liked and things I didn't like. Just broadly, I can just say that there were things I liked and things I didn't like. The action scenes felt a little off to me in the sense of I didn't really know what was happening, and the ending was kind of that way. It was entertaining, but I wouldn't buy a physical copy of it personally. Again, I have my review down below, but I want to note something I just noticed in my review and remembered, and I need to scream it from the rooftops, that he took off his shirt and she did not notice his abs. Who knew that was a thing? Because I swear to you that happens in every single book. I was prepared to roll my eyes, my dear friends. I was prepared. I was like, here we go. Here's the ab scene. She didn't notice his abs. That can happen? I didn't know that could happen. I sincerely did not know that could happen in a contemporary fiction book. Especially with a romance, like a contemporary romance book. That's unheard of. That's unheard of. And I was very appreciative of that. Like, wow. I'm shocked. I really am. I'm still shocked that that happened. I was like, the book gets points just for that alone. The main guy, because he, you know, had his past, it was kind of that redeemed bad boy trope, which I don't typically like, but the author did it well in the sense of we got an understanding of what was going on back when he was a bad boy, but we didn't really linger in that sin, if you will. So I appreciate that. There was some faith content. I have all the details and whatnot in my review. I just did it on Goodreads, so I'm just going to kind of leave it there. It wasn't bad. I wouldn't continue the rest of the series. It was cleaner than I expected. The ending was like a movie and a little over dramatic, but you know, overall not bad. It was a little time waster of a book and it wasn't bad, so that's all I gotta say. The next book was, I actually paid for this one, and it's because of this cover. My friends. Okay, the illustrator of this is Irene Chow, and can I just say I've become obsessed with her art style. I love it. I love it so much. She has authored her own books and done illustrations for her own books, and I'm gonna check them out. Even though they're not typically what I read, I do, from my understanding, they're clean, so I'm gonna read those at some point just because I'm obsessed with her art style. So I purely picked up this book because of the cover. I love her art style so much. I don't know, what is it, like 6 stars just on that cover alone. For the actual book though, it is the Beyond the Filigree Wahl by Melissa Wright. I gave the story 3 stars, cover 6 stars because I love those covers so much. I thought it was entertaining. The main girl's name is Edda. That's her nickname. I don't know how to pronounce her full long name, but Edda. She has been studying to become like a not military official, but government official of her kingdom. And again, this is like a fantasy kind of time period. And she, though, knows that fays are real because one kidnapped her mother, stole her mother. But she's always been told, do not talk about fays or they're gonna come get you too. So nobody in this kingdom really believes that they exist. But when certain things happen and she gets cursed by one, she has to get help from her enemy. So it's got the enemies to lovers, which, you know, I didn't really think they were enemies. There was more going on, which I appreciated. I don't know, overall it was fun. I'd continue the series. I don't really have too much to say about it. Besides, I love this cover. I love this cover. I did think it was really interesting, though, to read about fays, fairies, whatever you want to call them. In this book, they were fays, that they were, like, evil. And I thought that was really interesting because that's how I grew up, knowing that fairies, like, you know, Tinkerbell, good, might play a prank on you, but good overall. And then fays were the evil ones that would try to steal your soul. I don't know where that difference was made in my brain growing up. I feel like it was some book. My Nana really likes fairies, so I had a lot of that influence growing up. And I think it was something in that kind of thing. But anyway, I thought that was really interesting because typically when you see fairy fantasy books, like somebody is the, you know, one of them, half of the main couple is a fairy and they're probably 200 years old. But, so it was interesting to see though, like the fays, the fairy content be they're bad, they're evil kind of thing, which, and I don't know, that was just a difference that I kind of liked seeing, that I appreciated seeing. So, you know, overall, it was cute. I would continue on. A little bit of content here and there. I'll link my content review down below. Nothing too major though, that I remember, so I'll link it down below. Not bad. This one, I think this book is almost permanently free, but I'm putting it under the KU. I don't think it's on KU. I think it's free. I gave it 3.5 stars. It is The White Slipper by Brittany Fichter, maybe? I would say 14 and up for this book because there was a detailed kiss, but prior to that kiss, it would have been fine for preteens. This is a retelling of The White Slipper, which I had never heard about ever, so I really just went in with this is going to have fairy tale vibes and that, you know, that princess magic kind of concept. And you know, it wasn't bad. The main girl, River, is the princess of the kingdom, the only princess, and the heir to her father's throne. But when her father is injured, there is this piece of wood that gets conformed into a shoe for him, and everything goes great, life is good, and then the shoe, things happen to the shoe and it gets lost, and her father is dying. So he makes the proclamation that whoever can heal his foot gets her hand and the entire kingdom. And she's kind of like, what, Dad? What did you just say? So she's concerned on that, but you know, overall not bad. The main guy was a sweetheart, so not bad. Again, it's just one of those little books that's like, I'm just going to read this for like an hour and a half and it's just going to be a fun time. You know, kind of like a movie, you just read it and it's enjoyable. So yeah, 3.5 stars. I probably would check out the rest of the series. I liked the writing style. I don't really have too much to say about it. It was just like a clean little fairy tale book. That was overall not bad. My last book to talk about today. I feel like I'm going hoarse. Have I talked y'all's ear off? I'm so sorry. This book, though, I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did, but it was Wormwood, Abbey by Christina Baehr, maybe is how you pronounce this name, the author's name. And this is cozy fantasy. I am here for cozy fantasy. I see the hype now for cozy fantasy. This was really fun. This is like a early 1900s, I think the author said it was 1899 in one of her newsletters, because I signed up for her newsletter because I need a physical copy of this book because it was so much fun. But our main girl, Edith, is an author, and she gets, oh, how do I want to explain this book? Let me just point out real quick. This book had the writing style I absolutely adore because it's perfect, and the vocabulary was just so much fun. I was constantly looking up these different words. So I'm like, I don't know what this word means. What does this word mean? And it has such a charm of that time period that was just so good. But our main girl is Edith, and she's 21. She is an author, and her father is a reverend or something along that line. So we have a little bit of faith content sprinkled in. But her family on his side had cut him off when he married her mother. And then they get a letter that, okay, you need to come back to the family home. There's the male heirs have died. You've now inherited Wormwood Abbey. And there's more that goes on at Wormwood Abbey, of course, because that's what the whole plot of the book is. And there might be dragons and things like that. And it was very fun. I was thoroughly invested. I'm very curious how the series will go. I would get a physical copy of this first book and check out the other ones. I don't know. I randomly saw this book on Goodreads, and the cover instantly caught my eye, and I was just like, okay, you know, I'm looking forward to reading this one, and I read it, and it was entertaining. Again, though, the writing style, it's that writing style that is not poetic, but very much like that storybook telling. Like if you read this or listened to it, I guess, as an audiobook, I'm sure that would be a great time, because or just reading it out loud even, I feel like that just adds to that storybook, not narrator, but very similar, and I just really enjoyed it. I love this writing style. I need there to be a name for this writing style because it's exactly what I love. And I think that is all of the books I have to talk about today. Let me double check. Yes, okay. So for the books I talked about that I don't own copies of, I plan to get a copy of Undercover Princess. And My True Love Gave to Me was really cute, but I don't know if there will be a physical edition of it. And I mean, it's only 43 pages, so I probably won't buy a physical copy, but if it was longer, I would have. And then Children of the Shadows, I still need to get my own copy of that one. And then Wormwood Abbey. I would do a copy of those three. So that said, those three I will buy, but here is my physical stack I have. I talked about 16 books today, and you know, overall not bad. Overall not bad. Yeah, there were some mediocre ones in this, but there also were some decent ones and ones I really enjoyed. So I'm pretty satisfied by this recent reads. I'd love to know though if you've read any of these. Do you want to read any of these? I feel like I talked about some maybe more uncommon books for my channel. I mean, I typically, the first time I talk about any books are going to be in this recent reads type video, but I feel like these are like a wide variety, a good mix. Overall not bad books in general, so yeah, I feel pretty successful through this recent reads. I'd love to know though if you've read any of these books. Did any of these catch your eye? Are you going to go add them to Goodreads? I'd love to chat about these books and all the other books down in the comments below. I will see y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this video wasn't insanely long like my last recent reads. My last recent reads was way too long. Oh my goodness. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see y'all next time. Thank you again so much for watching. I am Lindsay from the blog booksforchristiangirls.blogspot.com, where there's a new review every Monday and Friday. I try to post a new video on this channel every other Friday, if not sooner. I am also on Instagram and Goodreads and TikTok, and we also have a newsletter for Books for Christian Girls. If you'd like to sign up, the link will be in the description below, along with the reviews of all of these books as well, for all that content info. So thank you again so much for watching. I know I always say that a lot at the end of my videos, but I really do appreciate y'all watching my videos, and I love discussing them, all these different books with y'all, and I hope y'all can maybe find some new books that interest y'all in these videos. I feel like I have some pretty decent suggestions in this video, so I feel, again, I'm very satisfied by this video, but thank you again, and I will see y'all next time.